Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine. This is Shahani from Melbourne, Australia. I hope you're doing great. Today, I want to talk to Mumbai-born Raj Shahani, who spent over 3 decades as a businessman and marketing maestro with companies in different corners of the world. But only a few years ago, though, Raj revisited his lurking childhood love for the arts. And in this short span has launched himself in New York and Mumbai as a sculptor to be reckoned with. Raj Shahani is a sculptor based between New York and Mumbai. He uses sculpture as a means to memory sometimes where subjects are captured in photography, but at times not. But sculpting is a form of personal conversance with one's own interiority. Now let me ask Raj to join me for a conversation, and that's it. Raj!
Hey!
How you doing?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fine. A little bit cold here, thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate that. So before I'm going to start my question, would you like to say hi to those who are watching us right now?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm in New York. There's a curfew going on outside my house. Nobody's allowed outside. So I'm glad to be spending time with you guys.
Right, cool. So I love what you're doing, and I really love and admiring. So I've gotten lots of questions. My very first question, or most of my questions, actually quite long, but it's very important to be answered as much as possible. I've spent hours reading about you, and I know you work hard to get where you are now in your life right now, where you are. You spent 3 decades of your life working as a very successful businessman, and you've been only working as a sculptor just over the past few years. You're not just an ordinary sculptor, but a very unique, or not very unique sculptor. So I want to take you back to years ago, and tell me, when are you coming from, and why did you never go to the sculptor until a few years ago? Why?
Okay, now you're going to take me very long back. When I grew up in Mumbai, and I was always in trouble as a kid. I didn't study, I didn't do anything. But because I was dyslexic, I had a very severe dyslexic condition. So I could not read. But at that time, it was not something that the school district recognized. So I would always get into trouble because I could not read. But even I didn't know, my parents didn't know, and the school didn't know that I had a disability. So I was always in trouble, and but I always was doodling, drawing, painting, and things like that. So my school got together with my parents and said, this is a boy, he needs to do something he'll be successful in. He cannot be drawing and painting. And they took away all my art supplies, and at home and at school, they made sure that I did not have a color pencil and I did not have anything. So it was just the times were not on my side, and my school was not on my side, and the world was not on my side. So I gave up drawing, painting, and everything that I was interested in as a kid. Growing up, I did everything that my parents wanted me to do, which is I went to college, I graduated and did my bachelor's in science with a major in chemistry, and never used it, never applied it. Got interested, got into advertising, did my master's there, worked with all over the world. Left the country when I was 22 years old, went and lived in the Middle East, worked for Victor Company of Japan, which is a Japanese electronic manufacturer, and started. Listen, you never know where life takes you. So this is where it took me. And I worked with them, and for some reason they saw the creative side in me and wanted me to take on their advertising. So that was one moment that changed everything and changed the trajectory. And I again got back into the creative side of the world. But in a different manner. So I started handling their advertising and coordinating with the ad agencies and with the media and publications and everything. From that, I did a lot of courses in advertising, marketing, media. Eventually, I worked for a newspaper, and then I opened up my own ad agency. Now, I was being creative without realizing. That's how life was taking me. After that, I got into product design. I lived in the Gulf. I lived in Europe. Came to America, still doing product design. Have a bunch of patents under my name. Did a lot of manufacturing. I was stuck in, when I say I did 3 decades of, being successful. Successful is a very relative term. While I was successful, I was having a good time, and I have the trappings of the world, and everything that comes with being successful financially. But there was something in me that was empty, and I didn't know that. So I retired. I had always said I'm going to retire young. I retired. Fortunately, I have a fantastic support system. I retired, and 3 years back, was walking past an art institute in New York. I walked in and, joined a workshop for 4 hours. I had 4 hours to kill, and I joined a workshop and made a sculpture. Not planning anything. I just wanted to spend time, and I spent time, and at the end of 4 hours, I was able to make a sculpture.
When was it? Which year actually you started?
This is approximately 3 years back.
Oh,
so about 2017, I went in there, and I surprised the instructor over there, who said, "You've been doing this for a long time." And I said, "No, this is my first sculpture in my life."
Wow.
But those 4 hours, were so fulfilling, so enriching, that I found myself. When people say they were born again, I was born again that moment. And I found myself, I found my happy place. And, it's been an obsession since then.
Well, I'm glad. That's a very good obsession, actually, I believe. So I couldn't believe that, because when I was reading about you, it's like back in 2 to 3 years ago, and I thought probably there's a grammatical mistake, because what I can see, it's like you've been doing it for years. And then when it's mentioned, like, it's been you've just mentioned it's been like for 3 years so far, and I was like amazed.
Thank you. 3 years is a long time. When you're obsessed, 3 years is a long time. It's a blimp in a lifetime, but 3 years is a long time when that's all you do.
In comparison to 30 years working as a businessman, it's nothing.
No. As a businessman, I've always had jobs. I've been business. I've had ad agencies. I've done so many things. But the amount, it's what you put into the hour.
Yeah.
Sculpting takes over my life. When I'm in the studio, when my hands are in the clay, I forget everything. So if I start in the morning, sometimes in the evening, I get calls from home screaming at me, "You haven't had water, you haven't had lunch, you haven't had dinner. Come home, what are you doing?" And when I say, like I'm going 24 hours. So I get possessed. It's like something has gotten into me and it's just coming out.
Yeah.
So these 3 years have been very productive 3 years. They have been very fulfilling 3 years, and they've been, I saw God. This is what I did.
That's how I feel, actually. The very first things that truly drew my attention to your work was your bronze dancer sculptures. Almost each one of your sculptures' sizes is equivalent to the size of a real human being. Tell me about how the concept of dancing sculptures crossed your mind, and why bronze?
Okay. So, before I sculpted, I always did photography. as a hobby. I still do it as a hobby. And the human form, the human body is very interesting. For obvious reasons. I mean, we connect to that because we love human bodies. We fall in love with human bodies. But the forms, the shape, the soul behind the body, there's so much depth to the human body. So whenever I've taken pictures of people, I enjoy taking pictures of nature. I enjoy taking pictures of people. Every time I take pictures of people, when I come back to from my camera into my computer, and I look at people and the shapes they have created and the forms they've created and the graceful way they can move, and that mesmerizes me. So I went to upstate New York to a Pillow Dance Festival, which is a summer dance festival, and I took pictures of a lot of dancers. And like I said, I have never planned anything. This just comes to me. And those images struck such a chord in my psyche that I had to translate them into something. It was waiting to not explode, but they were waiting to come out. This was a very organic thing that happened, that I started making sculptures that were ballet dancers. Ballet, I think, is the most graceful form of dance. Okay, it's not only humanly beautiful. Every dancer is beautiful, but they take you to a place which is magic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to capture some of that, and I wanted to get that emotion into my pieces. A lot of my sculptures I do with my eyes closed. I cannot make eyes and nose and lips with my eyes closed. But when I get stuck and I have that image, I can feel it with my eyes closed, and I can correct or find the solution to my pieces. So it's a very organic, it's very fulfilling, and it's an expression of what I felt at these times.
Yeah, because I love those sculptures, and you had a big exhibitions for that. Actually, I was looking at those pictures which were taken actually through the exhibitions you experienced. And was that exhibition about that sculptures in New York? Was it in New York or was it in?
So I have been making sculptures. I do this for me. When I'm sculpting, I'm expressing, and I'm pouring out my heart into clay. I'm doing it for me. I'm not ever doing it because I want to show it to somebody or I want to share it with somebody. Just like my photography, I've always taken pictures and I've kept it with me. They're close to my heart.
Yeah.
Art and Soul Gallery in Mumbai, and the owner over there, Tarana Khubchandani, she happened to see my work, and she was really taken in, and she pushed me, and she wanted to show my work to other people. Now that was very difficult for me. It was a very vulgar idea for me to take my heart and show it to other people and be like, look, so I never thought I want to show it to anybody. And this is very personal. It's like people who dance in or sing in the bathroom. They never sing in front of others. So I was making these sculptures for me.
Yeah.
They were my soul and my, it's when she said she wants to show it to other people, I felt like, I'm going to be naked. And now other people will look at it and, I'm scared.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm vulnerable because this is not, so I was resisting, but she convinced me somehow, and she's very good at it, and she's very good at what she does. So she convinced me, and she took me and got my exhibition at the Jahangir Art Gallery, which is a very prestigious art gallery in Mumbai. It's almost the museum of Mumbai, and she took my solo show over there. She believed in me enough. And I had 27 of my pieces there for the exhibition, the solo exhibition.
I was watching it. I was looking at. Yeah, that's amazing. Well done. So
yeah. So, but at the exhibition, it changed again. Everything that I thought, because at the exhibition, I was there at the exhibition. People were walking in, and there were a lot of people walking in. Not necessarily buyers, not necessarily affluent buyers. I think there were all kinds of people walking in. And there's this one gentleman walked up to me, and he he was an old, frail, old gentleman, and he walked up to me and he said, "Are you the one who made this?" And I said, "Yes." And I was really scared. I thought he was going to get upset with me because he had a face that was, like no expression on his face. And I said yes. And he said, he reached out and he said, "Can I hold your hand?" I said, "Sure." He took my hand in his hand and he kissed my hand and he started to cry and he said, "I want to, kiss the hand that made these pieces." And he started crying and I started crying and it was very emotional. So, to be able to touch people like that gave me a high again and gave me hope and, made me feel good about sharing my pieces. That it really, these things mean a lot.
Of course.
And so many different things like that happened. And I got a lot of commissions out of that. I got sales, but the interaction with people, the reaction of people, and the love that I get is incredible.
Yeah, well, because it came through bottom of your heart, so that's why people can easily relate it to, and that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about. So, one of the things which is very questionable to me regarding of the most sculptors in the world, especially those who work in bronze sculptures, is the sadness and seriousness of the characters and their faces, facial expressions. I never understood why.
First of all, a bronze sculpture is cold. Okay? So you automatically
Okay.
but I try as much as possible to bring some emotion. Because what is 100%? What is perfection? There's no such thing. So when I'm sculpting, when I'm creating, when I get the emotion right, when the piece talks to me and it emotes and connects with me, is when I know I must stop. Even if it is not perfect, it doesn't have to be the most beautiful sculpture in the world. If I get the emotion, if I get something that the sculpture is telling me, then I must just stop. Then I must stand back and let it do its thing. Then it's gone out. Then it's the baby that's been delivered. And all I can do is love it.
It's very interesting, very, very interesting the way that you are describing the connection between you and what you're doing. And now I want to ask you a favor. You know what that is?
I have no idea.
I want to ask you a favor, please, to give us a tour. I know you're not at your studio, but I want you to show us some of the things you've been working or whatever you've got at home, and give us a tour. Just grab the camera and do it the way.
So let me ruin it for you a little bit.
Okay.
Not only I'm not at my studio, but all my sculptures are with my gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my exhibition was in the end of last year. And before I could get anything back, first of all, a lot of those got sold. Before I could get anything back, the COVID happened. And so what I have at home are things that I made very initially when I started sculpting.
That's okay.
Okay. So I can show you those. And please don't judge me because these are my babies.
Do it. No one judges you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm going to pull this phone out.
And then you can reverse the camera also. You can reverse the camera. And there
okay. All right. So let me first show you what I did, which was my first sculpture that I ever made. So I'm sorry. We are in New York. There's a curfew going on. You don't see anybody out there.
That's okay.
But this is the first sculpture I ever made. I made this in 4 hours.
This one?
This one I have never sculpted before in my life. And I was able to do this and surprise myself.
Okay. Can you do it a little bit slowly and tell me what's the story behind this man?
Okay, there's no story behind this man. The story is only because of the emotion it creates and gives. I went through a community space, and there was a gentleman posing in the center, and people were working over weeks trying to, make his sculpture. And I had only 4 hours, and I made this. So I can't say I'm very proud of it, but it changed my life. Now I am who I am because of this gentleman. And this moment will always be etched in my life and very important to me in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. And since then, I have been, doing all kinds of things. In the first few months of my sculpting, that's another one that I created. This was also from a beautiful person. He was very good looking, and I was able to capture his emotion, his cheekbones, his look, and everything. Now, it's not beautiful because, I made this at a time when I had no idea how to sculpt. I was still learning. I was still practicing. These are my practice sessions. And I was able to, create this. And gives me a lot of joy, and takes me back to those places where, I was able to create these things.
How long did it take to make that one?
That one took me about a week.
Wow.
To make that one. Yeah.
And I'm assuming actually it's quite heavy weight. Am I right?
This one is not heavy because this is not made. This is not metal. This is cast in plaster, and then I painted it to make it look like metal.
Oh, okay.
So this is not a bronze. This is cast in plaster, and it just looks like it's metal.
Wow, very interesting. There you go.
This was among the first month of me making, so it's not anatomically correct, but it is something that I like, because it's, like I say, it's always about the emotion, and it got the emotion right. It didn't get the anatomy right. It didn't get anything right, but it did get the emotion right. So very satisfying, very, very satisfying.
Can you go a little bit closer to this one? Isn't this one bronze as well?
No, this is also plaster that's been painted to look like bronze. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well done.
Okay, and I'm then going to take you to some of the other pieces. Sorry, the lighting. This is late in the night over here, and the lighting is not very good.
No, the lighting is good.
I'm home. This is a life-size piece that I sculpted.
I love this one. I've got a question for you about this sculpture. Let me read it. Okay, explain about that, where you got that idea. What's the story behind this sculpture? Because I've got a question for you here.
Okay, so I was making this, really enjoying making this sculpture, and she had hands and she had legs and she had everything. And I got a phone call from a friend who was very depressed and who was very upset and who had some bad news. So I was so upset at that time. I remember on that day that I broke off her arms and decided not to, make the arms for her. So you can see this is a very, it takes you back to that time when I made this sculpture.
Wow.
So this is a life size. It's a 6 foot tall sculpture. That
can you stay there? Can you stay there? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. But that one is bronze. Am I right?
No, nothing over here is bronze.
No.
Because these have not gone to the foundry. They are still with me. I've cast them in plaster and I have polished them and painted them to make them look like they're bronze. They are not bronze.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
But the emotion is there. The pathos is there. The feeling is there. It is how I was feeling at that time. it is a reflection of the inside. Always when, when one creates art or one creates sculpture, I'm pouring the insides out, and it is, it is about that time. It is about that moment, that feeling, that, all of that. So this is where I was at that time, and this is what I created.
It's very meaningful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy with what it looks like. It's not perfect. I mean, there are a lot of flaws, and if I had to make it again now, obviously I would do a better job. But this is that moment. It is this time, and that I'm not getting back again. So now that has been frozen in my life forever. So that's one.
I really love this sculpture.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Sorry, the light is not good.
It's good. It's right.
Okay. Okay. I'll take you to another one that I did, which is also 6 foot tall sculpture. And
wow.
That's there. Let me show you something very interesting. One of my friends from Iran sent me a book. I have lots of friends in Iran and Tehran, and so I have lots of following. People think I'm Persian and I'm Iranian, and I'm so proud about that. My name Shahani. I have, it's like a Persian name. So thank you, everybody in Iran, and hello to all my friends in Iran, and who like what I do. So thank you.
I thought that the very first time I contacted you, I thought probably because of your family name, is Shahani. It's like very Persian or very Iranian family name. That's why I thought probably you're Persian. Okay, so let's back.
One of my best friends' last name is Shojakhani, so it's very close to a Persian name.
So tell me about this one.
Okay, so this was one of the sculptures that I have made, which is not based on any model. I made this out of my head. I completely sculpted this without any model or without anything, which is very unusual because mostly, especially when I'm new and I'm trying out and I'm starting out, I must, look at something and make. But this one poured out of me, so, I wanted to make a sculpture that looked like it was wet, the cloth was wet, and I wanted to try out and practice, and this is what happened. This is what came out. I'm very happy with it. And it entered a competition in New York, won the second prize. I'm really, really happy. Even the other one won a prize. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with what's happening.
It's amazing. Can you go a little bit closer? I want to see details actually.
Okay, so here's the detail. So I wanted it to look like it's fabric that is wet and translucent, and that's what I was trying to do. So I'm going to go to the back so you can see.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
So it looks like she's moving. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of motion. But at the same time, it is also very tricky. There are very few sculptures where, you can make it look like it's fabric and wet fabric. And so this is what I was trying to do. At the same time, like I said, I never lose the emotion. And this is that.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Well done.
Thank you. Whoa.
Don't break the sculpture, please.
Now I break myself. And if it breaks, it'll become even better.
Yes, yes. Wow.
Yeah. So that is that one.
Amazing.
It is 6 foot tall. and
Yeah.
it has motion, it has emotion, it has everything that I wanted out of this piece.
It's very clear.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Going on, sorry, my house is a mess.
It's good. It's
I made this one. This is a bronze, but you can barely see any detail on it. But yeah, the lighting is not so good on it.
wow.
I'll show you some of the other things I've done.
Wow.
I made these hands that are on the wall.
It's like,
Yes, and it looks like it's coming out of the wall. Yeah. So that is another one. Going into my junkyard. Wait, there's not enough light, but I'll show you.
that's okay.
That's another sculpture that I made. This is Icarus. You can see Manhattan out here. There's nobody out in the streets.
Manhattan, hi.
That's the Empire State Building in red flashing over there.
Wow.
But anyway, coming back to my sculpture. Here, this is Icarus. That's the sculpture of Icarus. There's another sculpture on the side that you can look at. And these are, Icarus also won a prize in New York. I've not won the first prize, but second prize it has won. That's another sculpture I made of an older gentleman.
This one.
Yeah. But sorry, the light is not. I don't know how to get better light.
Don't be. It looks good. Looks good. Don't be.
Okay. There's another sleeping gentleman, which is a sculpture again. I will have to lift this one. Hold on. Hold on 1 second.
That's all right. Wow.
That's another sculpture.
One of those dancing sculpture. Am I right?
Yes, it's one of the dancing sculptures. But this is one of the prototypes. This one didn't go to the foundry and has stayed with me.
Wow.
That's heavy.
Is that one plaster as well? Am I right?
That one is plaster, yes. That's the sleeping gentleman. So, thank you. Thank you. Then I'm gonna, sorry about the mess. I'm sure these are some of the things my friends have made. Okay. That's another sculpture which is very emotional. There's a lot of connection. And
this one is very different to the old sculptures you've been showing us so far.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I've never been to school. I've never learned. So I practice and I practice everything. I don't, for me, I have to keep trying different things and to see what I can make and what I cannot make. And this is one of those sculptures that I made.
Can you step back a little bit and let's see the whole sculpture actually?
I don't want to offend any of your people with the nudity.
It's okay.
Okay.
Wow. How old is this sculpture?
I'm sorry?
How old is this sculpture?
They're all 3 years old. I made all this in the initial few months of my starting the sculpt. Like I said, all the ones that... Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So these are all sculptures that I made in the initial months of my starting to sculpt. The ones that I made at the later time and I made of the dancers, they all went to the foundry to become bronzes. and I don't have them over here. They're all with my foundry.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is.
It's very nice. It's very, very nice.
Thank you.
Wow.
See, and when I sculpt, I always say I cannot paint and I cannot draw, which is true. But I did attempt to paint, and I will show you the first painting I ever made in my life.
Wow. Is that what you painted?
Yes, that's the first painting I ever made, and I don't think I can paint, but this was my first attempt at painting ever.
Please
And,
keep doing it.
I'm sorry?
Please keep doing it.
No, it's very stressful. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy sculpting. Painting is very, very, very stressful for me.
Oh my God, you are a great painter as well.
No, let me show you another. In my life, I've made only 2 paintings, and that was one. And I'm going to show you the other one that I've made. So you're getting a tour of my house as well. So my apologies. It's a big mess.
That's okay. Do not worry.
I have a big Steinway piano here, which I love. This is the other painting I have made.
Oh my God.
But I don't like to paint, and I decided I'm not going to paint anymore because it's very stressful.
But they're really good.
You know, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. For a first attempt and second attempt, it's good. But I have to think about how I feel when I create these things.
Yes.
And it is not something that gave me a lot of joy. It gave me stress.
Yeah.
So I made 2 paintings and 2 sketches. I said I'm going to make it once, and I'm going to try to do it one more time to see whether it works or not. Both the times I painted it, I didn't enjoy. I'll show you the first sketch I ever made. And, you'll see. Hold on. This is the first sketch I ever made.
Oh.
It's like bad light.
No, it's good. Wow.
Hold on. And that's the other one that I've made. Yeah, but see, it's very stressful and it's not as much fun as sculpting. So I gave it up. And I decided that I'm not going to... Hold on. Over here in New York with the Black Lives Matter going on, I should celebrate my friend who posed for me and I could make this.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm speechless. No more question. Keep doing.
Yeah, like I said, it's the outcome is nice, but the process is not so much fun.
Yes. Raj, people questions coming through. I've still got a question. I don't want to make you tired. We've just got a few minutes and...
Okay, so ask me the question. Let's go into your question.
Yes. Thank you so very much. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure people love it as well. And well done. Okay. I'm going to read the very first question or last question. There are more than 85. So, okay. Okay, it's one of the person actually I keep watching myself. Okay, what's the process to make a sculptor look bronze with paint?
Okay, so there are many layers. So what I do is I take a base which has a bronze powder. So I actually coat my plaster with a bronze bronze powder, which is put into a solution and then it's painted on it. So it's actually coated in bronze, and then I spray different kinds of acids on it to make it age, so it naturally looks like bronze.
Okay. 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 This is my last question, and if you get a chance, we go through the other people's questions. So, me as a filmmaker, writer, or even as an actor, when I want to make a film, let's say about the schizophrenic person, or even write about that character, I need to study a lot, and then begins to create that character with the information I've gotten. What about you? What do you need to know or study when you want to create a sculptor?
See, when I'm making a sculpture, there's a running story in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the sculpture has to tell the story without talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I already have a story in my head about what this person, the sculpture is going through. And I'm trying to get that emotion through their eyes, through their nose, through their mouth. And then, when I get my story, when I get my feeling, I stop. But unlike a film or, what you do where there's moving images and there's spoken words, a piece of art speaks differently to different people. So the viewer connects in a very different manner because they're coming from a different place. Their heart is connecting at a different level. So they will transport themselves to a different place to connect with something that has happened to them. So it's the story changes every day. In a sculpture, the story can change every day because it hasn't spoken. In a movie or a moving image, the story is clear.
Okay, my point, yeah, but my point is like if I want to get into the character as an actor, or if I want to make a movie about that, I need to know what sort of message I want to convey to my audience and study about that. It's not something like just crosses my mind and then like gonna start shooting the film. So I want to know that if that's something similar to like what you're doing, like you think, right, I want to convey this message through this sculpture to my audience, and I need to know about that person's background, his story, and it's more about that. Or no, you said, well, I don't care, so I want to.
No. In terms of art, in terms of sculpture, it is where I am, where my emotions are. It is my story. So as the creator, it is where I was at that minute. Sometimes I can create a story, like I was making a sculpture you saw earlier, which is Icarus, which had wings made out of wax, and the father said, "Don't go to the sun," and he went up and he fell down. So that's why you have the angle, falling down. But after I finished it, I put two horns on him and made him into a devil. So, when I started, it took me 3 weeks to finish that sculpture. When I started and when I ended, I was in a different mind space.
Yeah.
And the sculpture molded to my mood, to my feeling. So it's more about the creator, the artist, in sculpting and painting, than it is like you're in a filmmaker, because you have to tell the story and the story becomes that forever. Here, the story evolves and changes every single day. Every time you look at a painting, every time you look at a sculpture, it's going to bring out a different emotion. It's going to transport you to a different place. It's going to make you happy. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you vulnerable. It'll bring out all kinds of feelings. That's why people celebrate art, because it transports them and takes them where they want to go. I hope that answered your question.
You did, certainly.
Okay.
Right. It was so pleased to having you here on my live show, and thank you very much for accepting having conversation with me. I truly loved it, and I'm sure people love it, and people will love it when they're gonna watch this video. I mean, our conversation. Did you like it?
I loved it. I mean, you're so much fun to talk to, and I hope your audience is as much fun, because I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'd like to get to know each one of them. So please write to me, tell me what you think. Even if you don't like it, talk to me. It's a conversation. Everything that we create and we do starts a conversation, and it's beautiful. especially in these days when we're all stuck at home.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope to see you one day in reality. I've never been to New York. I used to live in America, but I've never been to New York. So I'll come and stay with you.
Please do, and I'd like to come to Australia too.
Please, anytime. It was my pleasure having you here. And so I have to wrap it up. So I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye, Raj.
Bye-bye.
It was such an amazing conversation with Raj Shahani. If you want to find out about Raj, you can go to his website and also his Instagram page. And I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to go through your questions here. As always, I was mesmerized with what he was showing us. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Stay safe and keep your smile. Bye.